Radio Bypass, bringing you rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Discover new bands. Here's some old favorites on Radio Bypass.
Welcome back to Radio Bypass, where we bring you rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Today, we're heading to Las Vegas to welcome Anthony White from Generation Landslide. Anthony has had quite a musical journey, from playing drums in bands like Cold Sweat and sharing early history with names like Mark Slaughter and Tommy Thayer, to stepping out as the lead singer, rhythm guitarist, songwriter, and driving force behind Generation Landslide. The band has just released their brand new album, Existence. It's their second studio album and their first for our buddy Ron Keel's RFK Media, and we're going to dive into that along with Anthony's fascinating career. And then before we're done, Anthony is going to pick a song from Existence to share with all of you. Anthony, welcome to Radio Bypass.
It's a pleasure to be here. How are you?
I am great, man. Awesome to have you here. I have been enjoying the new album for several days now. I've listened quite a lot, and I always get excited to hear new music, period. And then also kind of decide, okay, in the early listening stage, what are my, favorites? So sure. I've already identified my current favorites. Those will change over time, but I'll share that with you in a little bit. But I think the new record is really great, and I'm excited that you're on RFK now for this album. Hopefully they'll resurrect the first one too and get that out to everybody as well.
That's what I've heard down the line.
Yep, I hope so. But I thought where we'd start is a little bit with you. Obviously anybody that was a Cold Sweat fan like myself would know you as the drummer. But now you're the guy in front. And so I was wondering, was there a turning point, a certain moment where you said, I'd really like to be the guy standing out in front of the stage, or did becoming the front man and rhythm guitarist just kind of naturally evolve?
I was sort of pushed. After Cold Sweat was done, me and Tommy Thayer and Jamie St. James and Chris McClarnon decided to start a Kiss tribute band. The only difference is that if you know the players, we already had a lead guitar player and we had a bass player. But Jamie is a singer and I'm a drummer. So I was kind of pushed into that and said, if I'm able to do the Paul Stanley thing, I'll come out. And Jamie said, yeah, if I could do the Peter Criss thing, I'll go back behind the drums. And it just happened like that. And it just evolved, and I just kept going, even after the Kiss tribute was done.
That's so interesting, the way that happened. When you first were making that transition, was it intimidating for you at all? Because seems like a pretty big change, although I've seen many drummers like Phil Collins comes to mind at this moment that have made that transition, but I always wonder if that's kind of intimidating.
Yeah, and for me it was even more intimidating because the person that I had to portray is not an easy person to portray. Anybody knows anything about Kiss and you do Paul Stanley, if you don't live, breathe, act, and feel like him, you're going to fall flat on your face. So it was very challenging. I had to learn a whole different way of movement, moving my hands. Everything about everything was totally different at that point.
And his singing style is I think, kind of unique as well. Was that tough to get a handle on?
Yeah, a little bit. That was also by process of elimination, that I just didn't want 5 people in the group. I wanted it to stay a 4-piece group and have 2 guitar players, a bass player, and drummer. And I looked at everybody else and they said, well, we don't want to sing. And I said, well, okay, I guess I'll sing, because I sort of sang in the Kiss, the tribute thing. And I have some of the Paul Stanley that rubs off on me. I've always been a big Paul Stanley guy since I was a teenager. So it kind of goes down that road a little bit.
Yeah. Interesting. So being a drummer and now being the front man, has that had any impact on how you're leading Generation Landslide today?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Not much, but I let everybody have their own say and their own, way they want to do things and stuff like that. But you have to have some kind of a cohesive idea and a front person. In Cold Sweat, I had my say or my ideas, but everybody knows for the most part it was Mark Ferrari's band.
Right.
He started it, he got everything going. It was, his baby. So we all kind of went along with that. And I thought, okay, well, I'll take a little page out of that. Now that I'm not the drummer, I'm the guy in front. So I'm thinking, well, how do we appeal to people? What kind of songs do I want? Da da da. So I
Sure.
kind of went down that same thing, with him in mind.
Gotcha. Well, the band's been around for quite a while, but if somebody's just learning of Generation Landslide now, I thought maybe you could tell us a little bit about the beginnings of the band, and at what point did you realize this band has something special?
The origins of the band, believe it or not, go all the way back to about 2000, maybe 2001. It was originally a cover band in Phoenix, Arizona. And the funny thing about it is, of the 4 people that were in it at that time, the bass player, John Swanson, is actually still in the band with me.
Wow, nice.
I go way, way back. And it was a cover band. And, after so long, you let it go for a little bit. And then it just kind of resurrected when 2020 came. I had songs that were just sitting around, and I would present them to some people that I knew, and they said, "Oh, you should put this out." And I thought, well, okay, if I put this out, that's cool. And then one thing led to another, and the next thing you know, 2020, I'm thinking I had to put a band together. And I thought, oh, who am I going to get to do that, and what am I going to call it?
Right.
Sure enough, there's Generation Landslide. I've always loved the name. We created it 20 years before that.
Now, I have to ask, since you named it Generation Landslide and you said its origins were as a cover band, was it covering a lot of Alice Cooper material, since that's an Alice Cooper song?
It was not. We knew where we got the name from, but that kind of music, we didn't want to be an old classic rock kind of cover band, because you kind of couldn't, way in like 2000, 2001 and stuff like that. Cover bands, they're everywhere now, like oversaturated with the tribute bands. But back then there was just so many of them here and there. And we thought, well, we had better play different kinds of music, a little more modern, 90s stuff, 80s stuff, and 70s stuff. So there were a couple of Alice Cooper songs in there, but it wasn't necessarily an Alice Cooper cover band or anything.
And wasn't named that because you were aiming for
Correct.
Yeah.
We named it because I love old Alice Cooper. I love old Kiss. I love old Thin. I love all of that. So I knew that I was going to keep a name something like that,
Right. And it kind of plays in good with being from Cold Sweat, too, because Cold Sweat, I always think Thin Lizzy, right? So,
right.
So it's kind of fitting.
And I think for me, I think more than anybody else in the band, like when you listen to The Fifth, doesn't sound like Thin Lizzy. When you listen to anything Mark Ferrari's done after Cold Sweat, doesn't sound like Thin Lizzy. Same with Chris McClarnon or Eric Gammons. Anybody did anything. But when you listen to me and my stuff, there it is. That's always been my style. It's always been my thing. And I've always wanted to be in a band like that. So,
well, you're this album here, the new one, at least, I haven't had a chance, because I only just learned about you recently myself with this new album. So I've gone back and I've only had a chance to give it one listen to the first record. But this new one, for me, at least, I'm picking up as I listen to it as a full entity, because I'm still, and I think you are too, kind of an album guy versus a singles guy. So listening to it as a full body of work or full piece, as I've listened to it several times, like I said, over the last few days, for me, it's got a little bit of the Sweet and T-Rex kind of vibe. So kind of a 70s vibe, but with sort of an 80s and kind of a modern sound, all kind of blended together. That's what I'm hearing.
That you literally hit it right there. That's exactly the goal that I wanted from the very beginning of writing it to how it came out, the sound of it, the production, the vocals is sweet. There's songs on there. There's a song on there that is very reminiscent of a Doobie Brothers.
There is.
Very spiritual, China Grove type of thing. I specifically did that to give it a album oriented, fully rounded thing. So someone didn't say, oh, I've heard that Generation Landslide record and man, that just sounds like Motley Crue. That ain't,
Right.
Purposely did it so that people would listen and go, I think it sounds like the 70s. And then other people go, no, sounds more like the hair bands of the 80s. No, it sounds like more. I molded it that way. And it was not easy to do.
I can imagine.
But still keep the style and the freshness of it instead of just going, oh, well, this song sounds like this and this song sounds like that. And that's it. It wasn't easy to do. It was tough.
Well, you blended it well, my friend. You blended it well. And especially I really like, too, as I kept listening, kept thinking Sweet and T-Rex. A lot of times when you hear bands that are bringing some of the elements in from the 70s, more times you hear maybe Cheap Trick, maybe Aerosmith, maybe a little Ted Nugent and the guitar work or something.
Sure.
And of course, I've heard, some T-Rex by itself and some Sweet by itself in other bands, but I don't think I've heard it quite the way it sounds in your band, where it's coming together.
Right. So that's the mixture. I viewed it as every song was its own independent entity, and that's it. I didn't make a record that says when you listen to song 1 all the way to song 10, you go, okay, it's flavored like this, and it just kind of works its way through. I took each song, positioned them properly, and I took each vibe of where it would take somebody. If you sat and listened to it, you would go, oh, this sounds like it works perfect into this, and oh, this could be this, and then this could be that. And everything about it, it just came out that way because that's how I envisioned it. When you listen to Led Zeppelin 4, you put the first song on Led Zeppelin 4, and by the time you get to When the Levee Breaks at the end, you've heard 8 totally unique, different songs, but yet cohesive enough to go, yeah, that's Led Zeppelin.
Right. Yeah. No, you definitely did that, man. No doubt about it. And I guess maybe this is a good time to tell you my current favorite songs from the record, which is so far the title track, I think is probably my number 1 at the moment. And then not too far behind for me is Live Life. I particularly love the groove of that song.
Yeah. So a funny little story about Live Life is what people would never pick up on. And this is what we were just talking about. I got the idea of that song from an Allman Brothers band song. Now, if you think about it, you would sit and go, doesn't sound not even remotely close like an Allman Brothers band. But I captured what I heard in my head, and mostly what I heard in my head was the groove that they were doing. So I found something along that line. See, and that's what I've done with all of them. And the title track of the record, interesting you say that. That to me is one of those, I can't even think of the proper words now, but in the old days, they used to have on different records, like say, like Aerosmith Rocks. Okay, so you take Aerosmith Rocks and you have Back in the Saddle, Last Child, blah, 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 blah. But then there's a song on there called Nobody's Fault, buried in the record. But when you listen to it, it's got this
enormous.
Yeah, it's got, that's what I did with that. I thought, if I create this song that is so higher up, what is it? Is it a rock song? Is it a heavy metal song? It's got so many different things in it. That's why I titled the album that, because it was so unique and so different that if anybody picks up on it, it's one of those kind of songs.
Yeah. Well, and trust me, everybody, you'll hear this song on our Saturday music show eventually, unless this ends up being something that we pick out today. But when you hear this track, you'll understand what we're talking about. It's just killer. I just love that song, that for sure. And it's not often that the title track of a record, when there is a title track, ends up being my favorite, but early favorite. But in this case, that is
right. And a lot of the times from the old school records, when they do title tracks, that's most of the time singles.
Right.
Ted Nugent Free for All, that's a single. Cat Scratch Reaver. That's a single. You know, a lot of the times people name albums and it's the first song on the record, or it's this, or it's the single, and you're going to da 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 da. I buried it. I put it so far in there and so deep that when you're going up and down through each of these songs, by the time you get to that 8th song, you're somewhere completely different. And then
absolutely
the last 2 songs that are back up to normal, you know, not so unique per se.
Right. You are correct. Well, I definitely love that. But that, as you're talking about this, it makes me think about this too. This is not in my notes that I made while I was listening to the record, but it occurs to me as you're talking about this. So, talking about the way that you wrote and your concept, you know, your thoughts in your mind, how you wanted it to be, blah blah blah. So it just kind of occurred to me that you being the front man and the rhythm guitarist and all that, you do have a band, but this is kind of your baby. So from a recording standpoint, was this recorded with other musicians, or were you Todd Rundgren here and did the whole thing?
It was. It's both. There are songs on there that everybody's on, and then there's songs on there that I'm just on, because I just felt like I could hear it better. And me being a drummer, and I knew what I was looking for. And sometimes I just went into the recording studio and I just said, let's just go. Here's what I want to do. I laid the drum track down, laid the bass down, laid the guitars down, laid all the vocals down. And I had this vision in my head, and that's how I did it. Other times I came in and I said, here's where we're going. Here's what we're doing. And everybody jumped in and learned this and that. And I just kind of oversaw it as like a producer type of thing and said, okay, little of this, maybe less of this and more of this. I had already known in my head where I wanted to take everything. And when I heard it, I knew those were the right takes and that was the right mix and the right vibe and the right everything. When I didn't, I stopped and I rethought again and said, how about, and then I went down to where I wanted to be. So it was a combination of both.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I did want to touch on the debut album, even though I haven't had a chance to listen to that a whole lot yet. But that was called Ruling the Street Scene. Correct. And so that was kind of the introduction for the band, current level of the band. And now with Existence, I'm just wondering for you, somebody that knows both and was the creator of both, would you say that, you know, with the new record, you hear like major growth maybe in the songwriting or the performances or the production or maybe just the confidence of the band? Do you hear anything different, you know, 4 years later or whatever?
Absolutely. All of the above. I thought the first record, it has really good stuff on it, but in my mind or in my eyes, I felt that it was different. I wanted it to be different. So there's an acoustic song on there. There's another song on there that has got this acoustic-ish with a band, but it's got all of these vocals like this Beatles type of thing. So I was going all over the place trying to decide and figure out really what I wanted to do on that. Mm-hmm. This one, I knew straight from the beginning. I knew I needed a concert opener. I knew I needed a sing-along. I knew I needed an ending song of the night. I knew I needed blah, 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 blah. Everything that I thought I wanted and needed, I did. Then the growth of the band, the songwriting, I learned a lot of what to do and what not to do, or what I liked and what I didn't like.
Sure.
So yeah, it's a big change, big difference.
All right. I thought so because just like I say, my quick listen of the first one, I do, to me, it sounds much different, the new record, to my
right.
And it's not a fair comparison though, because I haven't lived with that first one as much. But
right, and there's good stuff on there. I mean, I'll stand by, you know, the stuff that's on it. Some of it is just, I can't explain the difference between that record and this record. It was a different time, you know. My head was in a different space, and the things where I thought I wanted to go, I thought I created that. Mm-hmm. I was right off the top. I just said, nope, I'm not going to this and this. I'm going to this, and I'm going to find a way to achieve it somehow, some way.
Gotcha. Well, I think that kind of answers my other question I had noted here about the new record versus the first one, which is, do you think the new one better represents who the band is today? And I'm getting that would be yes.
I do, absolutely. It's more rounded. It's just everything about it is just better on a better level to me. That's just to me. You know, we've done 3 videos for the first record, and 3 songs. People love those songs. I love those songs, you know, but I see it and hear it differently than everybody else does because of me creating it and where my head was and now where my head is. So the next one will even be different than that, you know, depending on how I feel. I might just say, I'm not going to this and this. I'm just going to do a full blast heavy record or a rock record where I don't, you know, I won't know until I get there.
Yeah, of course. Which is a good transition to what I have here that I was going to ask you next, was signing with Ron and RFK Media. Did that, but I think not from what you're saying, but I'm going to ask you the question anyway. Did that change anything for you creatively, or did it mainly just give the band maybe a bigger platform?
Absolutely. It did give a bigger platform. It gave more excitement too. Having Ron there and his staff and it gave a sense more to me of confidence that it, you know, hey, now I've got to hold up my end of the bargain. You know, now I've got a label that really likes the band and is really going to go out and push the band and push the album and push everything. And I'm thinking, you know, I had better make sure I come in on my end, and I don't want to give them, this is okay stuff, you know, mediocre. So it made me, in the back of my mind, think, okay, is that good enough? Is that good enough? Is that where I want to go? So yeah, It was way more exciting.
Good. And then I thought that the title Existence, we may have kind of answered this too, but I thought it was kind of a thought-provoking title in today's world, at least to me it was. So I wondered, for you, what does the title represent to you? And then I think we've already answered this too, but do you consider that there's any kind of an overall theme running through the record? But again, I think we've kind of covered this, but I'm asking anyway.
There is an overall theme on it. And to answer the other question, I picked Existence because I feel when you listen to the first single, that's why we put Running Out of Time as the first single, because it ties into the band, ties into the cover, ties into the state of where the world is at, you know, and I'm not a political guy and I'm not a religious guy and I'm not any of those. That's not, you know, that's not why I do it. But I do human awareness. You know, and I'm big about that, you know, and I thought the hourglass, the whole thing they came up with was brilliant, because that's all anybody is existing. That's it. And wherever you take it is up to you. If you succeed and you make it great, your existence is wow. If you choose not to, there's where your existence is. So you can either be at the top of the hourglass or you could be at the bottom of the hourglass. But if the world doesn't start coming together, this is where it could end up. Maybe not for a lifetime, but you know, so I consciously had that whole thing in my head. So I just ran with it and I started positioning songs, you know, with the titles and all the different things that, you know,
with that in mind.
Right. Loosely based on that without being 100% based on it.
Gotcha. That's cool. And then we talked a little bit about this already, but just as we're talking about the modern world here, though, you know, we talked about that you and I both acknowledge that we love albums. And I think I had read even that you had a desire or something about albums, or I think I had read, I don't remember the exact thing I had read, but so many of us, you know, grew up listening to music that way. But today, you know, of course, you hear all the time, it's a singles world now. It's not worth doing an album, but in your mind, why is it still important to you in today's streaming world? Because
I feel you don't get the full picture. So I could have probably done the same thing. And I could have, off the top of my head, I could have taken Are You Ready, Dirty Little Blonde, and Running Out of Time. I could have taken those three and said, here, Ron, take these three. I don't have a full album because I don't want to go any further, or and put those out as singles and see what happens. Hopefully they whatever, because those are single material.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the back of my mind, I thought of other bands like Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak. I thought of Ted Nugent's Free for All. I think of Led Zeppelin 4. Now, one of the biggest songs in the world is Stairway to Heaven, and it was never even a single.
Right.
So Led Zeppelin only thought the same thing. Oh, we'll just put out Rock and Roll and Black Dog and call it a day. You don't get the full picture. And I thought to myself, well, I don't care what year it is. People could do what they want. But if I bring people back to that time and go, you know what? I think this song is great. No, I think this song is great. No, I think you wouldn't get a chance to do that if you only put 3 or 4 songs out, because you're only thinking what you think a single should be in people's minds.
Right.
Existence is a great example that you brought up. I would have never. I get it because I wrote it and I understand where it's supposed to take people and what it's supposed to do.
Right.
But when another person listens to it and says stuff to me about it, that just proved my point. That's not a single.
No, it is not.
But a good song is a good song.
But that is something that, why I love albums, because I love hearing the whole body of work. And many times, I can understand why certain songs are the popular ones or whatever.
Right.
But many times, I mean, Zeppelin's a good example, but I can think of many that you're like, oh, that was the radio song, but really the best song on the record is this, and that one got ignored,
Exactly.
So
that is so true. So what difference does it matter what year it is? A good song is a good song, and a person might think this particular song is great. And okay, this one's common or this one's more commercial, and I get it. But maybe they want more than that.
Right.
And so it was my mindset to say, I could do 4 songs, call it a day. But I have 10. These are the right 10 songs. And if I position them right, and I take a person like yourself all the way to the 8th song, I've done my job. That's all I can do,
And I applaud you, sir, for taking that on.
Well,
maybe only you and me will be happy about that, but hopefully millions will discover how great this is.
Right. Now, if we can get another 1 million or 2 million to, subscribe to that same way of thinking, hey, we'd be on our way.
Exactly. Well, that's always my goal with this podcast. As an old radio guy, I got so sad that radio won't support new music from the legacy artists, won't play new artists, period, which is why I started doing this podcast 9.5 years ago or whatever, because in my mind, I'm like, you know what, even if I can only find 10 more like-minded people that really care and are passionate about the music, I'm going to consider that good enough, because it's something better than nothing.
Right. And once again, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
But once again, that's old school mentality. Mm-hmm. Who was Aerosmith when they came out? Nobody knew. Right. Who was Thin Lizzy when they came out? Nobody knew. Mm-hmm. But one person told 3 people told 7 people, 7 told 20 people. And before you knew it, people started to realize who these bands were.
Yeah.
I don't want to change that yet. It might be a long shot in this day and age, but it doesn't mean you have to stop trying, because maybe people are able for a change. You know what I'm saying? And they will tell other people. And the next thing you know, it turns into an old school thing, and Generation Landslide is at the top of the heap. I don't know.
I can see it. I mean, I'm so energized now. There was a period where I was so sad that I thought this rock's never going to survive. It's going to be just like, when I was young and had no appreciation for music as a whole, I was so lost in my Black Sabbath and my Judas Priest and all that. I would say to my mom when she'd be playing some big band music or Frank Sinatra or something, that's, well, of course, I came to appreciate that later once I got more knowledgeable about music. But my point is, though, that music disappeared, as far as radio and all that. There's still a little bit of a market for it, but not much. And so I figured that's where we're headed with this music that we grew up loving, that now I'm my mom's generation, But I'm enthused, though, doing one of the things that makes me happy doing this podcast is learning about some new young bands. And boy, there does seem to be a lot of young people in their early 20s that are really going back to playing real instruments, trying to write real songs, and trying to sing real vocals. So I'm kind of enthused that, there may be a resurrection of this kind of music in a bigger way than maybe I would have thought 10 years ago.
Right. And it all starts with a simple conversation like we're having right now. If one person, such as myself, can put my butt on the line and try to do it, maybe it gets to 10 more people. But out of those 10 people, there might be some musicians and they sit and go, oh, well, maybe we should go back and listen to this band or this band. And man, that band sounds pretty good, that Generation Landslide, but they're new. It's got to be a groundswell. It's the old story of that, and I think you got to have someone that starts it and believes in it. And then you have to keep going on it. And don't say that it's okay to do AI music and it's okay to do this or lip sync on that or just be singles or that.
Man, you got to have the emotion,
Right.
That's one of the things that I don't understand. If AI music were to become popular, which I sure hope it doesn't, is all I've heard of it so far is, absolute perfection in what's being played. Well, there's no heart to it then, and there's no soul to it. So it doesn't move you the way real music does, and this thing that you hear about all the time with singers, older singers in particular, with tracks and all this and criticism, or if they don't do it, and then their voice doesn't sound as good, then they get criticized for that. But that's wrong to me, because I would not expect, like, a great example is the Rolling Stones just put out this new record on Friday, and I had the opportunity to run a special, so I got to do a 1-hour special on this new album of theirs. So when I got the album to listen to it, I wasn't, I didn't have expectations way up here. The guys are, in their 80s. But I'll be damned if, it doesn't hold up with anything they did, 62 years ago or whatever. But even if it didn't, though, the point that I was going for is that you can't expect necessarily as we age. I mean, I know my voice doesn't sound the same, even just speaking, as it did when I was 22. So you can't necessarily expect that. But what you can expect, though, hopefully, if it's a singer that you've loved, is their heart and soul that still is going to come out in that vocal, even if it isn't what you remember from the record. So I've never understood that criticism. To me, that's what makes music so special, is whether it's from the instrument or this instrument, the person's voice, it's that stuff, that real stuff, that's what hits you in the chest, to me. So I rather hear, I love, Aerosmith's my number one favorite band. And if Steven Tyler, who is, I think one of the best rock singers ever, even if he started sounding kind of crappy, I would still love it because he's singing from his soul.
Right. I think you're correct in all of that. And I believe the same thing. I think that you're expecting a 60-something and beyond to sound like a 20-something. Close to impossible, number one. And number two, what people don't seem to understand or realize is that these guys didn't just come out at 60 or 70 years old. That guy, Mick Jagger, has been singing for 40, 50 years. Steven Tyler's been singing for 30, 40, 50. You know what I'm saying? How long can your fingers hold up? How long can your voice hold up? But you're right. The difference is that those guys still get out there and they put their heart and soul into it. And you shouldn't criticize because people can't hit higher notes or anything like that.
Exactly.
You're seeing someone that's an iconic person your whole life, and now all of a sudden you're going to criticize them because they struggle to hit notes and stuff. I mean, come on. I mean, that's not fair, you know.
No, it is
I will
not.
never subscribe to that. I feel that you do the best you can at whatever age that you are, and for anybody to have a career for that long, nobody should say a single word about them at all. I mean,
Exactly.
you try to have a career for that long, and then you'll be able to, you know, talk. But
Exactly.
yeah, I don't.
And you should appreciate this, you know.
I just appreciate it. Exactly.
Because then if they're doing the tracks thing, you're criticizing them for that. So, you know, what do you want? You know,
Right. You know,
whatever.
really, I got to just tell you real quick, because I'm a huge fan of Triumph.
Oh,
Always
love
have been
Triumph.
since I was a teenager and everything. And that's a perfect example that Rick Emmett even comes out and says flat out, he knows he can't sing that high. Why would you expect him to sing that high?
Right.
It's still Triumph up there. He's still playing, he's still singing, and you're just getting the same songs, maybe in a newer, different kind of a way.
But they still sound great.
Right. There's nothing wrong with it, and it still sounds great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people have that image or that fixation of, oh my gosh, it doesn't sound like the record. Oh, this is terrible. Whoa. I mean, that's harsh. That's harsh. You do the best you can at any age you are. Be happy you're still doing it, and that people still like it. You know, that's what I say. Not let people criticize you. I mean, yeah.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, we got off on a little bit of a tangent there, so now we'll come back. So before we continue with Generation Landslide, I wanted to just step back for a moment and talk about Cold Sweat for just a moment.
Sure.
I had told you earlier that you're now like 4/5 of Cold Sweat has now been on the show at some time or another for various reasons. But what was really cool, a couple of years back, you guys had, or maybe it was a little bit more than that now, you had kind of reunited, and then we got that new live album out of the deal. I think that was 2024.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I know you all had a great time. I could see that. I could hear that. Mark Ferrari was here around that time, and I know he had a blast doing this with you guys again. And I talked to Roy Cathy about it more recently as well. He had a blast as well. So what I'm wondering, now that you guys had that big reunion, are there any plans to periodically perhaps reunite again going forward?
Yes, there is. If it was up to us, we would play probably 2 to 4 shows a year. What we really are trying to do is the festivals. We do Monsters of Rock Cruise, M3, Monsters on the Mountain. I mean, we'll do all those kinds of things. So whenever we're able to do them, we always welcome doing them. As a matter of fact, we're on the Monsters of Rock Cruise again for next year.
Oh, awesome.
27. So Cold Sweat's going to be on that. So we love it. We enjoy each other. We enjoy the songs. We enjoy playing together. It just, for us to having all 5 original members, 30 something years later is, it's a blessing for us. So we don't take advantage of it. We just enjoy it. That's all we do. And if we can put new music out, we were lucky enough to put a new record out that had 4 new songs. Plus we wrote a brand new song that's going to be coming out before we go on the Monsters of Rock Cruise next year. RFK Media putting out a new song that we had recorded. We're just enjoying it. That's
great.
Really all we're doing.
Yeah, because I thought I was so excited when that reunion occurred. So yeah, I'm really happy to hear that you guys, where you can, will continue to do that. That's
if
awesome.
we could play more to everybody's schedule and everything like that, we would be very open to doing that. But everybody now lives in all different, states in the country. So it has to be the right thing at the right time for the right, everybody to do. And everybody does other stuff as well. So,
right.
But that's always been our number one thing no matter what. If you ask any of the other four guys in it, they'll do this and they'll do that, including myself. And Generation Landslide is my baby, no matter what.
Right.
A Cold Sweat will always be at the top for all five of us of, that's just the way the cards were, and it's just the way it is. That's how I feel.
It's pretty special too that, decades later that you guys are still all in touch. You're still all enjoy one another's company. I mean, there's the human element of it too. That's pretty special, Right.
And I think we bring that more than anything. I think we bring that. We still try to bring the excitement and the human element where we're all singing. There's no tracks for Cold Sweat. Mm-hmm. Cold Sweat goes out there and does it as if it's 1990 all over again. And they try to run around the stage and we're doing all the vocals and everything. We're like kids up there, So it's always going to be that way until we are literally not able to do that.
That's great. That's great. Well, now with Generation Landslide, Cold Sweat, nowadays it seems like every musician to be satisfied creatively or at least financially seems to need about 6 bands. So for you, is Generation Landslide being your baby and still a little Cold Sweat here and there, is that enough to satisfy you creatively, or do you need more?
No, actually, as far as original bands, it is. But a musician is a musician, and I feel that it's my obligation and duty to stay as a musician. So I'm in a cover band. I play bass in a cover band. I play guitar in another Southern rock cover band. I play drums in a Whitesnake tribute. These are all friends of mine and all different people that, and I enjoy playing. So I just try to keep making myself busy to play. I'm always open to being cover bands and any kind of different things, just to play a lot of different music on any instrument,
Right.
I'll do whatever instrument you want me to do. And that sounds awful.
I'm bringing my mandolin over to you. I want to hear some mandolin music.
If you need a harp player for a Guns N' Roses tribute, let me know. I'll take a couple weeks and learn it.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned the drums. That answers one of my questions, is if you're still playing the drums at all, because every drummer that I've known that has gone and done something else, whether it become the front man or guitar, they always tell me that, man, if I don't touch the drums, even if it's just for me, pretty regularly, the way your body has to move and the way your brain has to think,
right?
I'll play like shit if I don't keep up with it. And so I wondered if you felt the same way.
Yeah, that's funny you say that. I do it when I want to do it. I don't make myself do it. So, for an example, if I were to play a Cold Sweat show, I would do rehearsal and be on the drums for a week to 2 weeks. Because to me, Cold Sweat material has got a lot of drum stuff. If I'm in a cover band where I'm playing, whether it's AC/DC or Def Leppard or whatever and stuff, not very much. I might go over a few songs here and there just to get my hands and feet moving again. On the Whitesnake tribute that I'm in, absolutely.
It'd be Tommy Aldridge there. Come on.
Tommy Aldridge is my guy. And then if it's not him, it's Ainsley Dunbar. And if it's not Ainsley Dunbar, it's Cozy Powell. And then we do Burn, so it's Ian Pace. These 4 guys,
no high bar there at all.
They're right there. I've grown up my whole life with them, and I've followed all 4 of them.
Yeah, they're awesome.
When a friend of mine asked me to join, I was hesitant for a while, and then he showed me the songs, and I started going over them, started playing, and I said, oh my gosh, this is right in my wheelhouse again. Whether I'm a lot older or not, my mentality, I said, but in order to do it, I'm going to need about a week or 2 weeks to really get my hands and my feet and everything reconditioned again, because there's a lot of moving parts for that, to do Whitesnake. So it just depends on what instrument I'm doing and what it pertains to. Even bass. I don't consider myself a bass player, but a friend of mine, he plays maybe once, twice or so a month. and he'll shoot me these songs and say, oh, darn, I don't know that one. Okay. And I'll go over it and all this, the other. And once I know it and whatever, I just show up and play. And
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm weird that way. I'm different.
I love that. I love that. And then one other thing is, I know we've been talking quite a while. One other thing I wanted to ask you from the past before we get back to the present. I did not know you had anything, had ever had an experience playing with Mark Slaughter at all. And, you know, I love Mark, nice guy. He was here a few years ago. But since you were with him early on, curious, back then, did you have any idea that Mark was destined for the kind of success that he ended up having?
Absolutely. So we went to high school together.
Oh, did you?
We pretty much started our first band together here in Las Vegas. And we did records. We did a video. We were on TV shows. We were pretty popular. And we thought we were going to be the next Raven. I don't know if you remember the band Raven.
Of course. They're still around.
So, yeah. Oh, I love Raven. They're great. Yeah. And I got to meet them and everything. And it was like a life dream. Me and Mark actually together met John Gallagher and Mark Gallagher together and saw the show because we were just huge Raven fans. Nice. So we grew up together and we all thought we were going to make it together. But, you know, you could tell he was a star. He had star quality from the beginning, even back then. And with us, it just outgrew each other. You know, when you're so young, you know, By the time you get to 21, 22, everybody starts to have different ideas and thoughts because, you know, we did this young. And and he branched out and I knew he would get picked up. I knew he would be on his way and do his thing. And ironically, while he was getting Slaughter going, Cold Sweat started to form. So it was almost like this excitement again of like, hey, you know, 10 years later, it's 1990 and Slaughter's record's out and Cold Sweat record's out. And here we are, you know, on the road and doing stuff together. So it was really actually cool that we were able to come full circle again, you know, all those years later. And then we just kept in touch. And now we've done a couple shows with Slaughter. We've done The Boat, you know, Monsters of Rock that Cold Sweat's been on with Slaughter.
Right.
Slaughter's going to be on this next one, Monsters of Rock, in 2027 with us too. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and we keep in touch from time to time, and stuff. So it's, you know, it's great. It's cool. It's a lifelong friendship.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. All right. Well, let's swing back to the band that we're really wanting to talk about and get people familiar with Generation Landslide. So we've got the record. We've got a video coming that'll probably have just been out by the time I get our conversation out in the public. And that's For Running Out of Time, the video, correct?
Correct.
Cool. So we know that's coming or will be there by the time this comes out. I always ask this question, but I know it's not easy these days, but live dates, any chance to take this record live?
I would love to take it live. Unfortunately, we're still looking for a booking agent.
Aha.
You or your listeners or anybody, you know, I'm looking for a booking agent for the band. We want to play everywhere. We want to play these songs open for anybody and play anywhere that we possibly can. Absolutely. We don't have anything right now on the books because the last show we did was May 1st. We had done the M3 pre-party in Columbia, Maryland with the Fifth and Ron Keel's band. And it was like an RFK concert, you know, like a festival type of thing. So we did that show. And then I knew that the record was going to be coming out and we wanted to work on the record to promote it, you know, get videos going and figure out a game plan of, you know, how we can make this thing, you know, happen and make it bigger. I didn't want to just put the band back out or just try to get aimless gigs when we didn't have a product or something that we could actually sit now and go to gigs and play in front of people. And we have a product to actually give them that, you know, shirts to anything else. So
Right.
looking for a booking agent. I'm hoping to find one. I hope I get one for the band, and we'll play anywhere.
Yeah, I hope so too. We need to be able to go hear this live.
Yeah. I love doing it live. That's great about this record is that it sounds overproduced, but yet it doesn't sound overproduced.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pull it off with a 4-piece group when everybody sings and everybody plays. So I'm very excited about playing those songs.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, well that's good. And then I was going to ask you if there's one song, but we may have kind of answered this, I think, a little bit already. But is there one song on Existence that means just a little more to you than the others?
Yeah, I would say the song's called "I've Been Looking for You."
Oh, okay, not what I was thinking.
So that, to me, the content is very, very personal to me. The song itself, it's like a sleeper kind of song. It's like Judas Priest, what's the Living After Midnight mixed with ZZ Top-ish. You think there's synthesizer guitars or something just by the way it sounds, but it isn't. But that song is really special to me, and it's just for me personally, really, to be honest.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. So yeah, no, that's good. But that's not what I thought. I really thought after our talking, the way we talked about Existence, the song, I thought maybe that was going to end up being your answer.
It is on different levels, but the other song, I've Been Looking for You, has just that little bit more personal to me that just takes it over the top for me.
Yeah.
Anybody else, they probably listen and go, okay, yeah, all right, cool song, but it, does nothing. But for me, it's always one that I knew I wanted to write, and I knew I wanted to put it on the record, and I knew where I wanted to put it on the record, and it just does its thing.
Got it. Okay. I think I have a little bit antsy dogs here. My wife's out of town, so I have nobody to cover them while I do this.
The animals going back and forth the whole time we've been talking.
I know. They're usually so good, but when Mom's not here, and she hasn't been here for a few days, and she's not back till next week, they go a little bit nuts. And they have, I tell you, they have this amazing internal clock. Like, they know I'm in this room, usually till 4 or 5 o'clock every day. But boy, if it gets past 5 and Dad hasn't let them out yet, they're all over me, and that's what's happening right now.
They're not letting you be.
No, they are not letting me be. But that's okay. Dogs are cool. All right. So I guess that's probably a good place to end this, I guess, because one of the things we wanted to do is to have you pick out a song to include in this interview. So you may have answered it, but maybe not. Maybe you'll surprise me. What song should we play here, Anthony?
I would. That's tough. That you're gonna put me on the spot. I would say From Dusk to Dawn.
Really? Okay, you're surprising me again, man.
Yeah, I wanna. That's my Tom Petty. Del Shannon.
I do hear some Petty there.
Yeah. I mean, that's my Running Down a Dream thing. That's a good driving song. So maybe your listeners might want to hear a driving song instead of, I don't know.
No, that's cool. And then we'll start with the single, and which guys, when you guys see this, there'll be a new video out for this by then too. That song's Running Out of Time. That was our introduction to the Existence album, and video coming. And then we'll crank up Dusk to Dawn. And Anthony, all I could say is it's been a real pleasure getting to know you and learning more about your journey and that's got you to Existence. And congratulations to you and the band on the new album. I wanted to make sure I said that to you because I'm very excited for you and wishing you nothing but success with it. And I hope you come back here again sometime.
Thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed our talk. Had a great time. Thank
Same
you.
here, Anthony. All right, everybody. We've been talking to Anthony White. The band is Generation Landslide. Oh, we didn't ask. Do you have a website, social media? Where can people keep tabs on you?
We do. So a lot of the stuff you can get through RFK Media.
Yes.
But our personal thing is Generation Landslide Band. You've got to put the band in it, .com. So when you go to generationlandslideband.com, you'll see everything that we've got. You'll hear songs from the first record, songs from the second record. You'll see photos. You'll see interviews. You'll see articles. And if there's tour dates, you'll see our past tour. We have everything on there. We're getting merchandise set up right now that we want to, get out there to people. And hopefully in the next, I think within this week, I should have that set up for it. So generationlandslideband.com.
All right, guys, so check that out. And also follow these guys on their social media pages because they need a booking agent. And that kind of stuff gets looked at today. How many followers do you have?
Right.
To us, it shouldn't really mean anything, but it does. That's why I ask you to follow and like RadioBypass as well. So please go give these guys a follow and get this record. Buy the physical. RFKmedia.com, baby. Get this record.
Thank you so much. That was great push. Great. I love it.
All right, guys, turn it up a little bit more, whether you're just listening or if you're watching this, stick around. I'll have some slides here and stuff. But whatever way you're listening, just don't stop listening and turn it up a little bit more because you're about to hear two killer rock and roll songs. Generation Landslide, definitely bringing rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Thanks again, Anthony.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.